Welcome to Our Business Shenanigans, where strategy meets sarcasm and entrepreneurship gets real. Hosted by Jen and Nicole, best friends and cleaning business owners turned accidental mentors. This podcast dives into the wild ride of running a business, the wins, the failures, and the moments that make you question everything. Here, we get real about leadership, growth, burnout, boundaries, and all of the behind-the-scenes stuff no one talks about, with a healthy dose of sarcasm and storytelling, of course. If you're here for raw conversations, practical insights, and a healthy dose of business mischief, then you're in the right place. No fluff, no filters, just the truth, the laughs, and the lessons. This is Our Business Shenanigans.
All right, welcome back to Our Business Shenanigans, the podcast where leadership lessons come with a mop and a side eye.
And today we're diving into everyone's favorite topic, roles for employees, because apparently common sense needs a handbook.
If you've ever had an employee show up 45 minutes late with a smoothie and a story, then this episode's for you.
Policies aren't about being bossy. They're about not losing your mind when someone asks if they can borrow the company vacuum for their cousin's baby shower.
And just for a second, Our Business Shenanigans is where strategy meets sarcasm and entrepreneurship gets real. I'm Jen.
And I'm Nicole. And today we're talking about something that makes employees roll their eyes and business owners breathe easier. Policies. But here's the twist. These aren't just rules to be rules. These are how we protect the company, our people, and keep chaos from eating us alive.
Absolutely. So let's talk about why policies matter, even if you have a small team.
For clarity, fewer awkward convos and team drama.
Right. For safety, you've got liability issues when you've got even just a small team, equipment, driving, in-home rules.
And fairness, consistent consequences, and PTO handling.
Yep. And last one is business continuity. You're not just relying on vibes to get by every day.
Now, policies aren't micromanagement. They're how you avoid becoming the villain when someone tries to guess what's okay.
We've all been there where we've just let everyone do what they feel is best because it sounds nice until someone's in the group chat asking if we're going to pay them to vape on a client's porch.
I've had that happen.
That's sad.
Yeah. She literally was vaping right outside the client's door and walked outside halfway through the cleaning to go vape. And we're like, that's a policy of ours, but
right.
We had to reiterate it. All right. So let's talk about the core employee policies every small business needs. Let's talk about time off and attendance. Emergencies happen, but if someone's grandma dies again, we need documentation.
Right, especially if it is a pattern. So like, yes, we can have grace. I know you're big on grace, but there needs to be something set in stone as a guideline, because if you're having a million emergencies that are all valid, then this just might not be the job for you. You may need to find something that's a little bit more flexible with your time. So understanding that is to protect the company and everybody else that works with you.
When we first adopted our handbook, the way I explained it to everyone is, so we allow 8 days a year, no more than 2 days a quarter. And if you're sick and it's 3 days, that's one occurrence. So that would count as
right.
The one. My thing is, you don't get unlimited sick days and then 8, I woke up and just don't feel like coming to work days. Realistically, and that's, you see what I'm saying? And realistically, we have unlimited time off. You can request as much time as you need. I tell people, if you need a mental health day every month, put it in and we'll approve it, right?
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
we can plan accordingly.
The same thing.
But at the end of the day, the way that I look at it is, if you are sick more than 8 times a year, then working is there's something wrong.
Right.
Working should be your last concern. I want you to take your health seriously.
So the flip side of that is, though, we had an employee one time who actually ended up quitting because she had gotten written up for absences. I think we were like, hers had just reset and we were maybe 4 months in and she was already up to like 6 absences. So she had been with us a little over a year and she was up to 6 absences once the new year started. And so we sat down and we had a write-up with her. And when she finally quit, she said, it's just not fair. The attendance policy is not fair for everybody. And I said, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, I have more kids than everybody else, so I should get more time off because they get sick and there's nothing I can do about it. But then I said, how is that fair to somebody who decided not to have kids? They don't get extra days off just because you chose to have a lot of kids doesn't take away from everybody else on the team. You still have to be able to show up and do your job.
But you still get 8 occurrences a year, which is
Correct.
gracious.
Right.
A lot of companies, it's 6 or less.
Oh, not according to her. According to her, as long as at her last job, as long as she brought a doctor's note, everything was excused.
I don't understand that level of entitlement, but I digress.
Me neither. So the next thing you need policy for is your equipment and policy and property. Your equipment and property. That's talking about your kits, your uniforms, devices, and return expectations and everything. I'm currently going through that right this second. We've got until 11 o'clock for a technician that we let go on Friday who is still not returned. Lord have mercy. I got all these knowledges up in this head. It's ridiculous. She was supposed to return everything. She's got until 11 o'clock today, or I have to go file a police report. She has almost $1,000 worth of company equipment. That's not small change. So, yeah, while it seems like we're being petty for like just requesting our stuff back, that's not what it's about. Again, it's about protecting the rest of the team.
Yes. And to be fair, if I were to give out $1,000 kit to every employee, that would mean if you know the numbers, the business numbers, then I would have to pay every employee less to accommodate for that. So the numbers are built out for a reason. And I don't know, did we already do an episode on numbers? I don't think so.
No, we don't. We need to dig into that. We just had Jody on here and talked about like bookkeeping some there, but no, we need to do an episode about digging into your numbers for sure.
And we have a mutual friend, Faith, shout out Faith, who just had a technician disappear with all of her equipment. They went to the police station, filed a report, and it was a felony, and that she was facing 6 months in jail over it. So,
correct.
Is that vacuum really worth it?
Right. Yeah.
So,
you have to think about it. And like with this person, I wouldn't be pushing it so hard, except she completely ghosted us on Friday until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like just didn't show up, didn't let us know she wasn't coming, anything. We had something on her schedule for the morning. And then so we called her and told her that we accepted her no-show as resignation and that we expected everything to be back by Monday. And she had blocked our phone number. So I don't understand how that happens. She blocked both of our phone numbers, the main phone number and then the phone number that we only use for technician communications. But when we called her from the client communications line, guess who answered? So we for sure know that she blocked our number. So again, not being petty, there was no reason for her to block our number. She didn't know she was getting let go that day. We told her we were having her come in because her car wasn't reliable. We could have been putting her into training or something like that. Again, that's on her. That's not on us.
And phone use and social media. If your phone use policy is just use common sense, congrats, you don't have one.
No.
We actually, go ahead.
I was going to say, because people are going to do it. If you don't have something lined up, they're going to have their phone sitting on the counter next to them with their earbuds in, scrolling those TikToks while they're wiping that countertop.
Yes. And we've actually had, our last office was really small. It was like 400 square feet with a bathroom in the middle. And we were doing interviews. My office manager was doing interviews, and she really liked a girl, was about to hire her, and she was like, "Can I use the restroom?" Of course, use the restroom. She went to the bathroom, and then you could just hear TikToks blaring in the background. And it was like, okay, so we're not going to hire her because she's going to do that. If you would do that in an interview when you're trying to put on your best impression, you're going to do that in a house. Yes.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And like for us, our policy is you can wear earbuds and listen to a podcast or listen to music or whatever, but you have to have one out so that you can hear what's going on in the house. So you can hear if somebody needs you. So you can hear if there's an emergency, but you don't just have your phone out scrolling TikTok, answering messages, making phone calls, all of that stuff.
We just had a client drop her scorecard rating after her cleaning and when we called to follow up, she said the cleaning was fine. It was just, the experience was off, essentially, from what she said, because the technician was on the phone arguing while she was cleaning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We had that happen a couple years ago, and thankfully it was one of our flex clients, and she called in. She's like, "I just thought you would want to know this because I know this isn't how you run your company." The person that was cleaning today was on the phone the whole time, cussing and like angry and aggravated because this person had gotten into a car accident like prior to and was trying to get all of that worked out and all that. Again, you have time in your car between jobs. Go ahead and make that phone call then, not while you're in a client's house.
Yeah, we've heard it all. I had a girl apply once. She worked for a big chain franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, literally, like in the application, it said that she was let go basically for no reason. The company let her go because she was on the phone cussing because she's currently going through like a custody dispute with her ex-husband or something, and they weren't understanding that she just had a lot going on. And it's like, well, you're in a customer's house cussing, like I'm not even going to waste my time interviewing you.
No, and you know what? At the end of the day, we all have a lot going on, but we all still have to show up and we still have to do something. I it's my favorite story. I cleaned houses for 2 months with a broken collarbone. Do you think that I felt like showing up every day? No. Was I in pain every day? Absolutely. Did I still give every clean my all? 100%. And I know I'm the business owner, so nobody's going to be that kind of dedicated, nor do I want an employee working with a broken bone. But like we all have stuff that we're going through. And if I sat down and talked to every single person on my team, I guarantee you they all have a struggle that is heavy on them. It's not fair for one person to get away with bringing that kind of drama to the team when nobody else can. So that brings me to client interactions and boundaries. No oversharing and safety. You have to put it out there what your team is allowed to really talk about with your clients. Your team is not there to trauma bond with them. There's no badge for most personal conversation. And we actually found out after we lost one of our technicians that she had been divulging a whole lot to our clients because the next person who went to clean was the client was like, oh my gosh, how is that person doing? I really hope that she got away from that abusive boyfriend. That's not okay.
I have no comment.
Right.
Like that whole situation was just shady.
Yes.
But let's also performance expectations. Now, I want to dive into this one. This one could be probation, coaching processes, bonuses, and raises. We can't just reward showing up like it's extra credit. That's literally any job.
So what are you going to measure? You got to decide what you are going to measure and what you're going to put up with. And that's where policies come in.
And let's talk about why owners avoid boundaries. Maybe it's guilt, fear, or being the bad guy.
Cool boss syndrome. That's me, y'all.
You are so cool. Funny story, last week in our little office chat, I was like rushing. I had to hurry up and go down to get the baby because it was time for the nanny to leave and I was running late. And I said G2G, talk to y'all later or whatever. And they all roasted me in the group chat. They're like, what is this Y2K? And I was like,
Listen,
man, y'all are ruthless.
We're up on all the hip lingo, y'all. We are very cool cats.
We're alpha, Ohio Riz.
I'm going straight back to we're the bee's knees, okay? Let's just go backwards completely.
And if policies are in your head, they're moving targets.
Right. You can't just think about it and assume everybody knows. So if the only time they hear the policy is after breaking it, then that's on you. And that's not okay.
And being fair is better than being liked and way better than being resented by your top performers. I want to touch on that. So when we had to start implementing policies, because, before we had none, we're winging it, right?
Right.
And I saw people abusing the call out process. And what ended up happening was it was burning out the top performers that showed up every day, right? So I can extend grace to you because your pet lizard ran away and this and that, your grandma died 3 times, whatever, right? I can extend so much grace to you. And of course we care. Like, to be fair, I had a technician who had a family member pass away. I want to say like in her first month, our policy is we need unexcused absences for 30 days. Of course, case by case. So she had a death in her family. We went above and beyond, told her take as much time as she needs. So we're not heartless.
Right.
But
and that's why the policy says may lead to termination, not definitely leads to termination.
And not just that, I can't advertise unless X, Y, and Z happens, then there's grace given. It's a case by case. You have to lead with empathy, but I have to weigh the greater good of empathizing with my team that shows up every day, right? So when we rolled this out, I said, look, if you call out, you're going to have a write-up. It's not, if you are an A player, I expect you're going to have a call out. You're going to get sick, right?
Right.
And when I write you up, it's not that I like you any less or I think that you're not capable of doing the job or showing up. It's I'm keeping the playing field fair. So I'm confident that if I have to sit down and talk to an A player, they can take it with pride and be like, and understand that we're probably not going to have this conversation again anytime soon.
Right.
because that's how an A player would take that conversation.
Absolutely.
Now,
They're not
the
gonna
C
go,
players,
why don't I get more absences because I have more kids?
the C player is the one that's going to rebut your policies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I just think that it's keeping it fair no matter what. And you have to make it scalable. What is teachable?
Correct.
I can't tell my office staff, hey, use your emotions when deciding what to write up and what not. No, that's not how this works.
Well, like you and I were having a conversation yesterday about attendance, and you brought up a good point that I hadn't even thought about yet. Our attendance policy is we have unlimited pre-approved time off, but if we already have 2 people off on a day, we won't approve anybody else on that. That's just been our policy. But as we grow, that's not really scalable. So I like how you guys are doing it there, where you said it's like more than 20% of the workforce out. So as we grow, that's a number that's scalable because it's just a percentage.
You want a number that grows with you. So
Right.
percentage-based numbers on those internal policies grow with you. I don't want to have to revise this every 5 times or every 5 hires, right? I want to write it once and it's done. And so 20%, I mean, think about it. If you have 10 texts, that's 2 texts.
Right.
If you have 20 texts, that's 4 texts. So it is a policy that grows with you.
Right. No, I liked that a lot. I stole it yesterday, just so you know.
Of course, you just want to be me so bad.
I mean, you still on my social media posts, so it's totally fine. All right, so let's talk about how to write and share policies that stick. You are going to need clear, friendly wording, ditch the legalese. However, I do still recommend as you grow and you get bigger to at some point have it looked over by an attorney just to make sure that you are towing the line of what is legal and what is not legal. But after you put them in place, you need to repeat them. You need to talk about them in onboarding. You need to talk about them in your handbooks, in your team huddles. We're literally having a staff meeting today that is reviewing policy because we've had a few issues lately. And then giving the why behind each rule. It's not just, this is the rule because I said so. This is the rule and this is why this is the rule. For example, we don't move furniture. The reason we don't move furniture is because if we move furniture, we risk scratching the floor, we risk breaking the furniture, we risk doing way more damage if it falls over on our technician. There's too much liability behind it. So explaining the why behind each rule. And then use real life examples to make it memorable. We had a technician who did not follow this rule, and the client asked her to move a dresser. And when she moved the dresser, the foot was not secured and the foot crumpled under and the whole dresser toppled sideways. Everything on top of the dresser went crashing to the floor and broke. Expensive items that were very hard to replace. Actually, one I couldn't even replace. I just had to give them money for it. And she's sitting there holding a dresser up, trying to get a hold of somebody to come and help her because she can't get it set down right because it'll just fall over. So prime example of why that's policy and why we do not move furniture.
All right, so let's talk about some common internal policy fails. So if you word something vague, like reasonable notice, that's chaos. You need specific measurements. If there's no documentation, it's really going to stink when this person's already missed 10 days this year and then you have to write them up and you still have to keep them. Well, you don't have to, but
right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also when culture says one thing, but the handbook says another. And when there's no consequences for boundary pushers, I'm sorry, but I don't want anybody on my team that makes my office or anybody else or my clients miserable.
Correct.
We should have that documented. If my office wakes up and they do not like talking to you because you're just nasty or abrasive, what have you, it's not fair for me to tell my office that they have to deal with it. If it's somebody that I don't want to deal with personally, it's not fair for me to put that burden on somebody else.
Correct.
No updates as you scale. A prime example is that your time off policy, how yours wouldn't grow with you. 2 cleaners might be what you need off now, but when you have 30, 40 cleaners,
it's still only 2. They all have to work. Sorry.
Good luck with that.
No, I agree with you. Yes, they have to be ready to go as you scale because and you are notorious for asking this a lot and I love it, is whenever there's some sort of technician drama or something like that, your question is, if everybody on your team was doing that, how would your team look? If your answer is absolute chaos, then that's not scalable. Then that is somebody you need to nip in the bud because you haven't had clear policies with them. If your policies are collecting digital dust, your accountability is collecting resentment.
I just want to add something. I don't
Sure.
think my husband listens to these, so I can share it. At his job, they've been in business for many, many years, but they just rolled out an official company vehicle policy. And I was like,
Okay.
y'all didn't have this before? It's standard. I read it and I was like, mine's more firm for our vacuums. We're talking they have 50, 60, $70,000 vehicles, and mine's more firm for our vacuums. But I looked at him, I was
Right.
like, this is standard, and he told me there were a few guys that were kind of giving some pushback on it. And I looked at him, I was like, fire them. Whoever pushes back on this, fire them. Like, and every day I'm like, did they sign it yet? Because if not, you need to fire them. Because my thing is, these people that are pushing back, they're not, if when they got hired and that was presented to them, like it's a no brainer. If you get a company car with keys, you should have some sort of policy in writing. Right.
Absolutely. John's
But
company, they literally have to take another driving course. It's called the Smith driving course just to be able to drive a company vehicle.
So they would have signed the paperwork to get the keys before they got the job, but it's the fact that they've had the job for years that now they're trying to give pushback on it. They're not understanding. Everybody wants structure. Everybody thrives in structure. Everybody's so quick to complain when structure is lacking. But now you see the company working toward that and you're pushing back on it, they're not a good fit. If I have to sit here and dumb that down for you, why it's necessary or how it protects you if you're good with the company vehicle, you see what I'm saying? So I was like, fire them.
Yeah.
Anybody that pushes back, because I know for a fact that if they left that job and said came to my job, I know they would sign our vacuum policy that's more strict than that vehicle one. No problem.
For a $500 vacuum versus
You
a
see what I'm
$60,000
saying?
car.
Like, what? So you see what I'm saying? So that's where I thought that was funny when I put that into perspective.
But also saying that, this is why it's so important, no matter how small you are, to start having those policies, because 6 years from now, you're not going to have that issue because everybody's just been under the same policy. Yes, you may have to tweak some here and there, but if you have zero policies now and 6 years from now, you go, all right, we got to lay down the law. Like when we joined the coaching program and everything changes, it's going to be a much bigger deal. Everybody that worked for me prior to joining this coaching program no longer works for me. And there is a reason for that, because I let them get away with murder in the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing.
They were the exception, right? Now, let's do a mini role play that's
Okay.
not in the handbook. Okay, so I'll be the employee and you be the manager.
Okay.
Okay, but I didn't know that we had to clock out when we took a lunch break.
No worries. It is in the handbook and it's covered in training. So let's go over that again together. How does that sound?
Policy and kindness? Who is she?
I love our role plays. We need to do more role plays. Those are fun.
They really are. We could probably do so many in honestly real life situations.
Right. We should do role plays on the proper way to handle a conversation and then the way Nicole really wants to handle the situation. And I think that that would be amazing.
I have great stories from this morning alone.
Oh, I need to hear all about them. And maybe that'll be a future episode.
That definitely kind of goes along with our last episode. I'll give you a little snippet. I won't go too deep, but we have a client that's just very condescending and she's been disgusting for the last 4 cleanings that we've actually cleaned for her. She's upset that we don't do things that aren't on our checklist. Like she wants us to dust mop under her furniture that literally has an inch of clearance from the floor to the furniture. And it's like, ma'am, no. Little things. Her vacuum rugs, she complains that they're not vacuumed. They're the rugs that if you try to vacuum them, it messes up the suction. The beater bar won't even spin, you name it. So we sweep them off.
It just sucks it up into the vacuum.
Exactly. So it's like we do the best that we can, but she won't even hear us out. And she's just been so disgusting. And I can't even explain it. It was to the point
Well,
that
I
I
heard
took
the
her.
phone call yesterday and it was pretty terrible.
That was a pregnant person that she was talking to. Like 8 months pregnant. And it was just like, why are you so angry? And we're in business to help you. So I really wanted to fire her. ChatGPT was telling me not to call her, but I was like, no, I want to call her. And ChatGPT was telling me, put it in writing and make it an email. And I kept telling ChatGPT, but if I call her, what do I say? And ChatGPT
is saying, simmer down. Simmer down.
It kept saying that essentially it would turn into an argument, which it would have.
It would
So
have,
I definitely
100%.
had to make it an email. I don't think she's opened it yet, but I can't wait until she does. But
Did
that
you
was,
send it through Made Central? Because one of the perks of sending it through Made Central is
yeah,
you can actually see that they've read it.
yes,
So Made Central sponsor us.
yeah,
Shameless plug.
yes. And
Anyway,
we don't get any referral bonuses for them, so
no,
I'm
we
not
don't
going to say their
anymore.
name anymore.
Nope, that was it. Next time you got to pay to play. All right, so let's talk about tools that actually help and get back on topic. So, digital handbooks. You can use things like Trainual, Notion, just regular Google Docs, short internal training videos like Loom, policy e-signatures during onboarding. Even if you don't know how to do any of that stuff, just print it on paper and have them literally sign it in front of you and read it in front of you. Weekly refreshers be via CRM, Slack, or printouts, and then using a form to track verbal warnings or spot patterns.
And the top 5 policies that you should have, even if you're new, are time off and call out expectations with specific numbers. So if you want time off, you need 14 days notice, not reasonable notice.
Right.
Performance coaching and probation. You need to cover phones, social, and behavior, pay transparency to include raises and structure, and gear and property returns.
I'm going to add one more to that, and that would be in our industry anyway, in any home service industry, also a non-solicit, so that whoever you're hiring agrees that if they decide to leave and start their own business, that they are not going to solicit the clients that you have paid all of your money and your hard work to get.
Yes. And these 6 cover 90% of the drama that you're dealing with. The other 10%, probably just that one employee.
Right. We went down a rabbit hole where every time something new happened, like there was some sort of new issue, I'm like, oh my gosh, do we need a policy for this? Do we need a policy for this? And it's like, no, that was literally a one-off thing. Like you can kind of either fit it along your core values or into another policy. You don't necessarily have to have one for, every single time something little comes up, but you need to have those core ones done.
Yeah, I tell my office all the time when we're making our notes to go over for our team meetings, when issues come up, is that one that is a one-on-one conversation or is that a meeting for the team? I'm not going to bog down my whole team when it's an issue that with only 1 or 2 people. That's me avoiding a hard conversation with 1 or 2 people, but clouding the mind of the 10 others that are doing a great job.
Right. Well, and with that, if you don't have clear policies and you have actual employees and you let one of them go, the chances of them getting unemployment and all of that other stuff goes up tremendously because technically you've never told them not to do that.
Yeah, and if anyone needs help with an attendance policy, you could just read Just Peachy Clean's reviews because you have an ex-employee that shared them all.
Yeah, they're just literally posted as a Google review from an anonymous person who was clearly not a disgruntled employee.
She was fired that day.
Yeah, and within 20 minutes, this bad review came up. Not only the bad review, but pictures of things that are only in our internal handbooks. And she's literally the only person that had left us within the past, 4 months or something like that. Just happened to happen 20 minutes after we.
Sorry, I had to put that jab in there for you.
Never mind the fact also that she wasn't even fired for attendance, first off. And when she came in that morning, she knew she was getting let go. Like one of our big things here is I don't want it to ever be a surprise that somebody is getting let go. Like when they walk in, they should know what that meeting is about because there's been enough documentation, there's been enough conversations, whatever. They know that this is not the job for them. And one of my big things is I want you to thrive wherever you are in whatever position you're in. And if that's not with us, that's okay. You can go find another job where you thrive. That's what I want for you. I don't want to keep you here where you're in a job that you're miserable. So when you come in for that meeting to be let go, you should know that what's going to happen. And this girl in particular literally walked into that meeting, all of her stuff in hand. Like we didn't even have to make her go back out to her car.
She knew it was coming.
She absolutely did. All right. Anything else before we close out this episode? I was trying to think of any other crazy policy stories that I've had. I feel like there have been so many.
I had a girl. This is comical. So we hired her and she was okay. Like we liked her. She seemed like she had a good attitude. But then all the feedback we were getting from team jobs is everyone hated working with her. And we're like, what do you mean? And like she would just ignore, like if the deep clean specialist said, hey, can you get this or this? And she would just ignore them. And they'd be like, hey, did you hear me? And she'd say, yeah, I heard you. Like that kind of attitude. And it's like, whoa, okay. And that's just not how we operate. Like we're all in here scrubbing. We're all in here scrubbing years of grime. Like, you don't have to treat me like I'm the bad guy, right? So
No.
we tried to talk to her about it and put her on a PIP, and she refused. She was like, I'm not signing that. She demanded to talk to the office manager or me, you name it. And then she kept going on saying, I know how a PIP works. Da 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 da. I dealt with this at my last job, or whatever she said. And it's like, okay, so this isn't new to you.
Right.
But there were a few things that we had to cover. And it's like, this is saying that improvement is needed because it is. Like, I'm not firing you, I'm coaching you right now.
Right.
Then she was really taken back because I'm not the one. Like, if you want to demand a meeting or a phone call with me, you are going to learn very quickly that you were better off in the hands of the person before me, because my office manager will straight up tell you, like, she's not as nice as I am, because I don't have the time for this and I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
So when she sat down in front of me, she tried saying that she feels like she should have mediation with this person and da 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 da. And I looked at her and said, I'm not a high school counselor. We are
We're
all
all
adults.
adults.
When I said that, her face was like, oh, like she was so surprised that I told her that. But I'm being honest here. Like, this is a conversation about me and you. What the conversation I have with anybody else is between me and that person. I'm not in for a culture of cattiness. Now,
Yeah.
if it got to it, yeah, I'm not opposed to doing a mediation. But in all honesty, I had three deep clean specialists telling me that you're the problem. So I'm not going to I don't need to have a conversation with everybody else when
Right.
you're the common denominator here.
Right.
Nobody else has these issues.
And it's not just a personality clash between two people. It's that person and three other people. So it's not like there's a pattern there. It's not just, hey, her and I don't get along. Please don't put us on the same jobs together. There was a pattern there.
And she called out for being sick or something like that. Then the next day, she didn't show up and she had jobs on her schedule. And so when we waited like an hour, sent her a message and said, we accept your no-show as termination, voluntary termination. She said, I never told y'all I was feeling better. I'm sorry, what? I don't
Well, you
know
have
any
to
job.
communicate.
Like, I'm not going to just clear your schedule for a month and just fill it back up. That's not how this works. In our handbook covers this, that if you're sick, we need to know before 7:30 of each day, even if it's
Right.
one occurrence.
Yeah.
So, and I had to like copy and paste the handbook to her. And she was like, I know how this works and the point system works, da, da, da. And she kept saying point system. And it got to the point when I was like, we don't have a point system. So clearly she's well versed. Like, I've heard of it from other companies.
Yeah.
So clearly she's well versed in handbooks for other companies. And she
Just
was
not
one of those
yours.
people. She was one of those people that was trying to dance on the gray line of what was acceptable. But I had all the policies and the backings to where I could let her go, hands clean. We're not doing this.
Right. Well, perfect example. We had a technician who she texted in on Sunday. I think it was like 6 p.m. And she was like, I just got back from urgent care. I tested positive for COVID. I feel like garbage. I have a fever. Like, I am so sorry. I can't make it in tomorrow. Sunday, even though we shouldn't be, my office manager is looking at the office phone just to make sure there's no fires that she needs to deal with Monday morning, because that's just who she is. She's an amazing human. But like, we knew before Monday started that we needed to fix the schedule. But then yesterday, at the end of the day, she texted in and she goes, I'm feeling so much better. My fever broke. Like, I still have a little bit of the cough and whatever, but I'm good to go back to work tomorrow if you want me to. Again, communication. The person that quit on Friday didn't communicate at all. Had she, even though she was still within her first 2 weeks, had she just communicated with us, that whole situation could have gone a completely different route. But it didn't. She chose to ghost us, and she chose to block our phone numbers. And so we have to do what we have to do. And it shows you the difference between A players and C players.
You can't sit there and create chaos and just have this sense of entitlement and expect me to empathize with you, but you can't even empathize with us and just let us know. Like, it's a mutual respect, right?
Correct.
I think that you and I both have been punching bags in the past. We both have extended grace numerous times. I feel like our hands are clean on that. And the only people that could say anything otherwise are the people that were trying to take advantage of us and didn't get away with it.
Right. And they have to look like the victim in that situation, because
Oh,
both
absolutely.
you and I have done, and this is not to toot our own horns or anything like that, but behind the scenes, we know how much we give to our employees. We know how much grace we extend. We know how much stuff we have done for them. For me, including purchasing a car for somebody and having them pay me back for it, like back in the day. Like, we have done a lot. So in order for their narrative to work, they have to make us look like the bad guy because they
Or-
can't say, oh my gosh, my boss bought me a car and then I quit 2 weeks later.
Yeah, or the mutiny that I had, the main ringleader of that, how I bought her a phone, all within a 6-month span, bought her a new phone, paid her $700 electric bill, gave her what I think it was $1,800 Christmas bonus, you name it, all of that, and then now I am the bad guy.
And now she ruined it for the rest of your team because the rest of your team's going, man, I didn't get an $1,800 bonus for Christmas.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So I had to learn the hard way what policies I needed to enforce with that one. And
Yep.
it did. It sucks for everyone else, but it's protecting me, the business, and everything that I've worked 8 years to build.
Yep. Agreed. So as we close out this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe. Okay. Policies aren't sexy, but burnout from chaos definitely isn't hot either.
So write it down, share it often, and stop being shocked when someone didn't know. You're the boss. Act like it.
Correct. Thanks for tuning into Our Business Shenanigans. Slide into our DMs with your best or worst employee policy moment. And don't forget to rate, subscribe, and review unless you're that one person who stole a mop bucket. In that case, stay out of our inbox.
Have a good day.
Yes.